Well, we didn't manage to get into the playoffs with Taunton Town last season, but today we've got the season review and we need to rebuild the team ready for season 3, and we might be losing both of our best strikers. Welcome back to our Zero to Hero series and part 18 of our journey with Taunton Town. And today, as we can see, we are going to be starting off with the end of season review for our second season in charge. First thing up, of course, as always, is the new arrivals. We had quite a lot of them this season. Obviously, getting promoted meant we had a huge amount of work to do just to make a team capable of surviving. Jack Wakely came in. We've got Jack Turner. I think Turner was very, very good in his role this season. Miles Sona, the club are unhappy with that. I think he's done reasonably well. Wazari Williams as well. Jameson Horlick, who apparently has got signing of the season, but the board are unhappy with him. I think this is all down to wages, but never mind. Luigi Gaspar. We also had Ryan Chavez-Muniz on loan, Nico Lawrence on loan, Watson, Farr. I mean, lots of these made a decent contribution. We've also got the likes of like Lawson Darth and Amadou Holloway, who maybe didn't get quite as involved. Drew Collins on loan, never made an appearance for the club. On the transfers outside, Lee Lucas left, Sims Burgess, Stamford, Dylan Morgan, McLennan, who was here last season, Ross Stern, Zach Smith eventually left the club as well. I'm not sure how he's been doing. He went to Bromley in our league. That's lovely, isn't it? He's actually, as far as I can see, out of contract. Can we give him a trial? Let's give Zach Smith a trial. Come back over to Taunton. You know you never really wanted to leave, despite you pleading to leave. Just come back. James Whiting as well. He went over to Boreham Wood. He's on the transfer list by a request as well, and leaving on a free transfer. Again, he never played a huge amount for us. He might be worth a scout. We don't have enough scouting budget to scouting at the moment. Let's just add James Whiting as well. I know these are players we've actually had already. How do I add him to the squad planner? Let's just add him to midfield centre right. Just in case, because we are going to need players this season. And we know he was reasonably good. Owen Hesketh as well, leaving the club this season. We got a little bit of money for him. Loans out. Jay Falston went out on loan. Just because we knew he'd be leaving. He's been playing at Torquay. He will be leaving at the end of the season. So on to the season results then. The Vanarama National League, the board expected us to attempt to avoid relegation. We actually ended up finishing 12th. That's not quite as bad as it seemed. It was a lot of poor results towards the end of the season. We can see we lost our last 3 games. We lost 4 of our last 5. And that's put us down in 12th with 67 points. But we weren't actually miles off of the playoffs in the end of it. The FA Cup, the less said about that, the better. And the same with the FA Trophy, where we got knocked out by Taunton Town. We don't seem like a cup team. We could probably do with a good cup run just to help out with the finances. In the National League, our biggest win was a 4-0 win against York. Match to remember, 5-2 win against Chippenham back in December. And then goal of the season came from Taylor Crossdale, because of course it did. Reputation hasn't changed this season. We have managed to bring some more revenue into the club. We've got more sponsorship. We've got more broadcast and revenue money, as well as corporate and hospitality. In terms of competition prize money, though, not quite as much. I can only assume that's because we won prize money for getting promoted from the Vanarama National South League. And obviously this season we finished mid-table, and matchday commercial and retail we've actually got left as well, which is a little bit disappointing. We brought in just over 11,000 in shirt sales, so 247 shirts sold, which is a little bit less than I would like. Asante, Smith, Taylor Crossdale, Amadou Holloway and Gaspar are top 5. 4 of them are fine. Amadou Holloway, I think if you've bought one of those shirts, possibly you're quite disappointed. Our best 11 for this season then: Horlick in goal, Sweeney, Williams, Wakely and Sese are back 4. Firth, Gaspar, Turner and Farr in midfield behind Asante and Taylor Crossdale. I would agree with that. Maybe Taylor Crossdale and Jaden Smith are switched around a little bit, but the rest of it I would say was pretty much spot on. This season, in terms of accolades, we won Manager of the Month for the month of January. The Fans Player of the Season goes to Asante, as does Young Player of the Season. Signing a season we saw already was Horlick in goal. Asante got top goal scorer with 23 goals. Jack Turner, most assists with 8. I think that's something needs improving on. Asante got most player of the match awards and the highest average rating. So a very, very good season for him. Most clean sheets by a player in the season was broken this season by Horlick with 14, which is really, really good stuff. Asante is broken a record for the most player of the match awards with his 9. Jack Turner gets worse discipline. Fine, he never got a red card. I'll live with it. Asante, obviously, most league goals by a season. It's got 49. I don't remember him scoring 49 goals last season or this season, so I'm not entirely sure where that's come from. But we'll allow it. Youngest player, Jay Allen, who did make his debut this season, and highest transfer fee received, 3.5k. 3,500, not million people, which is what I keep saying for Owen Hasketh that we got halfway through the season. Taunton know everything to a fantastic start to the season. I would agree with that because the end of the season was awful, and we've got the dynamic timeline. Let's just have a quick scroll through to this season. Promoted, Sante scoring lots of future stars, one for the future, one for the future. You can kind of see these are all just transfer ones, all investing in potential future star. And then I got my 100th match of the season, and it was a 4-1 defeat against Southend. What a lovely way to mark the occasion. We've also apparently been linked with the Port Vale job. I feel like this is going to be one of those summers where we're just going to be linked with a lot of jobs. Port Vale, 21st. So Port Vale are getting relegated. I don't think I have any interest in going to a relegated team. I don't have any interest in leaving my job. I do for the right job. So watch that space. That could be a very quick change to this episode, depending on what happens. We've got the Taunton overall best 11 squad then. Rogerson in goal from last season. McLennan, Purcell, Folston and Saysay. So Saysay coming in for this season. Ashcroft, Turner, James and Smith. So I think that's just Turner in there. Martin Telecrostel and Asante might have been in from this season, might have been in from last season. So the players that actually added this season was Turner, Wakely, Horlick, Gaspar, Rosari Williams, Saysay and Amadou Holloway. Why is he in there? Supporter profile update. We can see we've gained some core fans and lost some family fans. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I mean, we haven't necessarily lost family fans. We've gained fans. We've now got a higher proportion of core fans. We've lost 237 followers off of social media, though. They're a fickle bunch, aren't they, really? If we have a look, then we've also got the club vision and expectation meetings for next season. I'm pretty sure that's almost all identical to this season. It wants to play attacking football, direct football and counter-attacking football. The attacking football, they'll have moments where they are happy with what we're doing. They'll have moments when they're not happy, even when we haven't really changed a lot, depending on what we're doing. It's just whether we're scoring goals or not. Team have been sent off then for their summer break. We've literally told them we'll avoid relegation next season, and they're all happy with that. Let's have a look, though, at the big problem for this season, and that is the contract expiries. You are actually, before we address that, going to notice there is a new player in, Charlie Brown. He's already agreed to join the club. We've got him on a free transfer. I haven't done that in between episodes. We agreed this about a month ago, but the transfer window was closed, so he can't officially join the club until it reopens on the 20th of this month in a couple of weeks' time. I think he's quite decent. 3.5 stars of current ability with 4.5 stars of potential. He could at least be there to probably not replace any of, but he is a kind of replacement for either Jaden Smith or Asante to play alongside Taylor Crosdell. And we might well need him because, as we can see, this season out of contract, Amadou Holloway, we've got him out of contract. I mean, I think now we just released Amadou Holiday on a Holloway even on a free, because I don't think we're likely to need him. Lawson Duff, I mean, we'll keep him for a minute, but I'll be very surprised if he is here next season. Harvey Rhodes as well, wanted by a few different clubs. He's on a non-contract. Realistically, we've only used him for 8 appearances this season, and I don't think, really, he's quite good enough at the moment to play for the club. He could be a League One standard player. So do we keep hold of him? For the moment, we do. Jay Folston, as we've mentioned already, his contract ends at the end of May. He will be leaving the club, although he could improve. I don't feel like he's someone we're necessarily going to be using at the moment, and we've got to kind of work this as building for now. Enoka Asante is the problem. He'll explore his options at the end of his contract, and if you go and do here, we're keen on re-signing him. He isn't interested at all. He will not talk to us about a new contract. It is very, very frustrating. As you can see, he won't even entertain the idea. And then we've got exactly the same problem with Jaden Smith. He is wanted by Torquay. I believe Torquay are in the league below us, and they finished first, so they are going to get promoted. But do you want to go to a newly promoted team when you can stay with us? Really? Probably not. But another one, not even interested in talking to us. David Sasse, he's unhappy because he feels there's a lack of depth in attacking midfield, even though we don't normally play with an attacking midfielder, and he is wanted as well. He is under contract until the end of the season, but because he's unhappy, he won't talk to us. He's likely to leave. Zico Asare, I don't think ends up staying here, dependent on whether we can find a better player. Sonar, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping here. Joe Budd, I think I wouldn't be opposed, but probably ends up leaving. Dominic Rogerson, again, another one, I wouldn't be opposed, but I think he ends up leaving. Nelson Ashcroft, much the same thing. And then all three of these guys are on loan. That leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players for next season. One of those is on the transfer list in the form of Noah Watson. It could be a very, very long transfer window. We have got a little bit of budget to play with. As we saw at the end of yesterday's episode, we've got £700 currently in the kitty. We've got about £1,000 to actually play with in terms of our committed wages, but we need to do a lot with that £1,000. I'm going to go away and try and do something. I will come back if there is anything eventful happening, being that either signings or offers from other clubs. Well, here's the first bit of poor news from this transfer window. We kind of knew it was going to happen, but Enoch Asante has agreed to go over to Asante Kotoko. Apparently, they like him so much they've named their team after him. He is going over at the end of his contract for a wage of £3,000 a week. For context, we were paying him £350 a week, so I'm not surprised he's going, but that is a huge, huge loss for us at our club. It is going to be very difficult to replace his goals. If you look at this, last couple of seasons, 27 last season, 22 this season, and total scoring 49 goals in 80 appearances for the club, as well as 8 assists, 16 player of the matches. He is going to be very, very difficult to replace. Jaden Smith is also insisting that he is on his way out of the door. So we've lost basically 2 of our 3 main striking outlets this season. It is going to be a very, very difficult season ahead, I think. But here is our first signing of the summer transfer window, and hopefully someone who can replace one of those 2 strikers in the form of Charlie Brown, formerly of Ipswich and then Chelsea. He went on loans in Belgium. He also then moved to MK Dons for a fee of £175,000. Played a couple of seasons for them. I mean, he was at MK Dons. I assume Cheltenham was a loan. I'm genuinely not sure here because it doesn't say loan. MK Dons over to Cheltenham on an undisclosed fee. Played a couple of seasons for them before being released. We can see he's best played as a pressing forward, which is ideal for us. He basically replaces Asante there. He's got decent finishing. He's got some decent pace and physicals on him. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as Asante, but in the long term, he could grow to be, and he is currently showing up as a good national player with potential to be a Sky Bet League 2 player. So hopefully Charlie Brown can come in and score some goals for us, because we are absolutely going to need them. This is going to be another one leaving, isn't it? Joe Budd's been saying he wanted to leave all season. I think we can probably do better with his £375 a week wages. Asante's named National League Player of the Year. Just to rub in the fact that he's leaving, he goes and gets that accolade as he leaves the club. Congratulations. Well done. We could still get National League Manager of the Year. That would you know, make things a little bit better. At the moment, as I said, though, we've got players leaving left, right, and centre. Alex Fletcher here, he's unhappy. By the looks of it, I don't think he's actually gone on the transfer list, though. I don't know if we could afford him. If he did, if we could get him, that would be absolutely brilliant because he is fantastic. It looks like Bath are in the playoffs as well. Have the playoffs already finished? They've just lost in the playoffs, so they aren't going to get promoted into our league. So maybe there's a chance he's going to want to leave. We're going to have to watch that space. It'd be a striker that would be wonderful to bring in. But for now, we just continue with the transfer window, I guess. Well, another player leaving the club then, this time in the form of Joe Budd. He obviously didn't play a huge amount of games for us this season. He only made 6 appearances for the club. He's gone over to York on a free. On the inside, not that I believe he's actually arrived yet. Or maybe he has. He has arrived. I didn't think he had yet. James Whiting, who obviously was with us in Season 1 down in the Vanarama South and then went over to Bournemouth in the National League, has come back to Taunton on a free. We're not having to pay him too much money. And although he's probably not ready for the first team yet, I think he's one we can either loan out if we end up finding better players for this position. But equally, as a deep line playmaker in midfield, he has actually got some really nice attributes. So James Whiting coming up back to the club. We've also made some offers for some other people. We've got some players on trial as well. We're also scouting at the moment Harrison Holgate, who's over at Walsall, because he wants to leave the club on a free transfer at the end of his contract. And I think if we can get hold of him, that would be really, really nice. They've put in a non-negotiable offer for Nziko Asare. Do we want to keep Nziko Asare? I mean, he's made a lot of appearances for us, but equally he's not being very good. I mean, he doesn't want to leave, so we'll just reject that one. Because although he's not very good, he is better than no one at the moment. Jaden Smith, as you can see, not going anywhere at the moment, but still won't talk to us, although we're going to keep trying to do that up until the point where he physically leaves the club. And that's another striker that we were having a look at, but as you can see, he wanted £725 a week. That was similar to what he wanted with us. We were going to bring him in as a backup striker, but realistically, at that current ability, probably not worth £725 a week. In terms of budget at the moment, obviously this has got some committed transfers in because we're trying to get in Collar Lawless and some other people we've got here. Currently committed though, just over £6,000. So we have got almost £2,000 left to spend. I'm hoping we can add some nice amount of players to the club with that money. It does involve players wanting to join us though, and not just having a really barren squad at the start of the season. I haven't refused to sell Asare. If someone comes in with a nice bid for him and he wants to leave, then he can leave. That's absolutely fine. What we are doing though, as you can see here, is drawing closer to the 1st of June. And when we get that, we are going to get lots of contracts being released. Lots of players are leaving bigger clubs, and hopefully players we can bring in on trial and eventually sign for next season. And of course, the moment I've said that, I've realised it's not actually at the end of May that happens. It is at the end of June when we head into July, so another month to go yet before we can bring those players in on trial. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the first interview offer of the transfer window, and it is with Wycombe. Wycombe finished 12th in the Sky Bet League 1 last season. I'm just going to have a look at the history as well. So they got relegated from the Championship, and then they finished 15th the season before last, and then 12th the season just gone as well. I'm not sure what happened to their manager though. Let's go have a look. What did they do? They sacked their manager. So if we have a quick look, what I'm interested in is if we have a look at past positions in the Sky Bet League 1, whereabouts was he? Was it a warranted sacking, really? I mean, possibly, because they could have been all the way down here, and maybe they were a bit worried they were heading towards the relegation zone. So they finished kind of mid-table. It is probably worth going and talking to them when you think about Sky Bet League 1. So we jump a league. We will go and attend the interview and have a chat with them. We're very excited to speak to you. We'd like to discuss our plans for the club's vision and get your views on them. Yeah, absolutely. Are you concerned you don't have all that much management experience? May not have the experience you're looking for, but I've done very well in my limited time in management. You've alleged to have broken promise to your players before. I have. You're completely right. So when I promise my team, because they won't actually join us without you doing so, sir, Mr. Cohig, when I ask you to improve the training facilities, are you going to do it? Because if you are, we're never going to have an issue. Let's go. This happened a long time ago and I've moved on from them. Want to ensure the dressing room atmosphere is much better than our previous. Yep, I wouldn't have any problems cultivating a strong atmosphere here. We don't want a repeat of our last manager who had to part company with earlier than expected. Are you going to be around for a while? Yeah. I've never once in my career departed, only after a brief spell at a club. That's true, because I've only been at Taunton so far, so I've never done that. Is 2 years in? I'm not sure. Let's see. So they want to know about budget. I'd like possibly to make wide-scale changes. They want us to sign players under the age of 23 for the first team, work within a wage budget, grow the club's reputation. That's all pretty decent. Be competitive in the FA Cup, be competitive in the Carabao Cup, and then work to reaching the playoffs. Yeah, I'm happy with that, I think. We're not expecting anything of you from this season. That's because the season is over. I mean, watch this space, I guess. We'll see how this all goes. Zico Asare has just signed a new contract with us. We also tried to get Chavez and Munez back in on loan. But basically, Bristol City don't want to do that. So we'll just cancel that one a second. We also had a look at Lee Lucas, full disclosure, because we thought we might be able to get him on a free. But his club don't want to do that either. So we're not going to get him back on. In terms of transfers, we've got Harrison Holgate. We've offered him a contract. Kevin Gonzalez as well, an attacking midfielder, because I feel like maybe the diamond might be the way to go. So we've offered him a contract. He's very good there. He can also play in midfield if ever we decide actually the 4-4-2 diamond isn't working and we're going to go back to a flat 4-4-2. He could play in midfield as well, so we've offered him a new contract. On the outside, Dominic Rogerson's probably going. Harvey Rhodes is under a contract offer from Stourbridge, and obviously we already know about Asante. So now it's just a waiting game of what's going to happen, and are we going to be off to Wickham? We still have Cambridge, Port Vale and Wickham all interested in us. I'm not interested in the Port Vale lot one. I don't know about Cambridge. Where are Cambridge at the moment? That might be worth a quick gander at. So Cambridge currently are getting relegated. So maybe not then. If we have an actual look at what jobs are available at the moment, Plymouth would probably be the most interesting one. They are getting relegated, but again, in terms of realism, they would make a lot of sense for me to go there. I can literally, if I look over this way, I'm looking out my window and Home Park is about a minute that way, so it would definitely make sense. Add would the Exeter job as well. Torquay, again, another one that would make some sort of sense in terms of location, but probably not at the moment in terms of, you know, club stance. Exeter coming down to this league, if they wanted to offer me a job, I'd probably take a serious look at it, although I feel like maybe Taunton would be the more sane option in terms of progression. We'll see how things go. I'll be back if Wickham offer us a job. I literally hit continue then, and Cambridge came in and offered us an interview. I'm not interested in Cambridge, so we're going to decline that interview. Port Vale have also asked us if we'd like to attend a job interview. We don't want to attend that one. And Wickham are asking for backroom changes. So you'd think Wickham then are looking to bring us on board. We might be changing clubs, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so this is an interesting one. Wickham have, it's literally been a day, come and offered me the job. I have a slight issue with it, and this is literally based on realism again. They are offering a wage of £900 a week. That is £150 a week more than I'm on at Taunton. But Wickham's quite a long way away from my house. In fact, if we have a look over here, it's an almost 4-hour drive, and that means relocating. Now, having moved house a few times, I'd imagine you're looking at least let's call it, to relocate all my things. I've got to change my kids' school. My wife would have to change her job, blah, blah, blah. You're talking just for relocation costs, a new place to rent a house or buy a house, at least £1,000 just in movable costs, and £1,000 divided by the 150 extra we're going to pay, it would be 6.5 months before I'd broken even. And yes, I am aware this is Football Manager, but I like playing it realistically, and that is just not enough money to make me relocate. Especially when it means leaving a job where I'm not sure how I'm going to do in the new one, but in the current one, it would take a hell of a lot to get me fired. I don't think that Wycombe Wanderers is the job for me, you know. I mean, if they could offer me £1,200 a week, then maybe we'd think about it. Let's go, would you offer me £1,500 a week? 1,000. Would you offer me 1.3? 1,000. Would you offer me 1.2? 1,000. Look, I'm not coming for less than 1.2. That's the absolute lowest I'm coming. There you go. Talks are broken down. When Wycombe, then, in that case, we're not going to be going over to Wycombe Wanderers purely because I'm a greedy git. It's not that. Look, this is, like I said, I've always said this series will be based on some sort of realism. If you've ever watched the Lelujo non-league to legend save, I like that way of playing it as well. I like the fact of basing it on realism, and that is just not enough money to make me move. Especially when we have, if we were looking at it, if we could go to somewhere like Plymouth, which is down the road from me, absolutely lovely stuff. I mean, realistically, in real life, I would have been commuting to Taunton every day because I wouldn't move from where I currently live in order to do that. It wouldn't make any sense to do so. It's not that long a drive from Plymouth to Taunton, especially when you're only going up 2 days a week, because we do 1 day of training and we do 1 day of matches because we're a non-professional club. I think it makes good sense to stay at Taunton at the moment. Those of you who support Taunton, I'm sure will be very happy. And with that, we continue the transfer window. We did just see, we confirmed 2 more signings. Obviously, they haven't arrived yet. When they do arrive on the 1st of July, we'll come back and have a proper look at them. Unless, of course, we don't make it to the 1st of July, because we have just had another interview, this time with the Plymouth board, which, as I mentioned, is very near to my house, so it actually makes a lot more sense in terms of a realism. They have, if we go have a look at them, just got relegated from the Championship, or they will have done at the start of this season anyway. It's going to be a little bit of a mess. They've got lots of players requesting to leave, lots of players listed. It is an absolute mess, but equally, it's a very, very big step up. It is definitely a team you could build for the future. I would be very excited by it as well, because I said they're very local to me. I am an Exeter fan, but I don't buy into the whole Exeter versus Plymouth thing, unless they're playing each other, in which case I totally buy into it. But when they're not playing each other, Plymouth's down the road from me. It's literally, I can hear the ground from where I live. It would be very, very exciting. Just got to see if they offer us a job or not. Well, we didn't get the Plymouth job, and we have made it all the way to the 1st of July, and we have confirmed 2 more signings that we saw earlier. So Kevin Gonzalez, a Colombian 21-year-old central attacking midfielder with quite a lot of potential for the future as well. If we have a look at that, he is currently North-South standard player, allegedly, but he could become a League 2 standard player very, very quickly. He's got great first touch, great passing, good long shots. I think he'll be perfect in that role. And as I mentioned earlier, he can play in the centre if we absolutely need him to as well. And then Harrison Holgate as well, a 24-year-old English centre-back who can also play as a right-back, which offers us a nice amount of depth. He's 6'1". He's got some decent heading, marking, tackling. He's all right, if not fantastic. Again, North-South, I hate our scouts. Our scouts are awful. Something I definitely need to clear up. He's been playing for Walsall in League 2. And played for Fleetwood in League 1 before that. So he hasn't really had a lot of professional game time at the age of 24. But hopefully he can come here, make a good impact this season. We'll just get someone to welcome both of those signings. On the outside, of course, Enoch Asante. He's left, gone over to, was it Ghana? I believe it was Sante Kotoko. Either way, we are really, really going to miss him this season. Very, very disappointing. There was nothing we could do about it. It was one of those things that he just, from the start of the season, said he was leaving. And once he decided that, nothing we could do about it. I mean, if we have a look at transfers as well and the transfer history, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to look at released players from this season. You can see as well, Nelson Ashcroft has left, David Sese and Jaden Smith are all gone. Jaden Smith, we're tracking, we're scouting, we're tracking him, we're analysing him in the hope that he won't go anywhere and we can somehow get him back to the club. I don't know how we do that yet, but it's a hope. Luigi Gaspar also keeps getting loads and loads of bids for him. £8,000 is a lot for a player at our level. I'd quite like to keep him. And he is unhappy at the club at the moment, again, because he wants the training facilities improved. We are paying him £375 a week. I don't think we're likely to find anyone that's too much better than him. So I'm keen to keep him for the moment. And we kind of have a look at that and see exactly how that pans out. If we have a look then at the squad planner for this season, now we'll just ask the assistant to suggest for everything. We only have the one goalkeeper at the club. We've got Sweeney and Declan Firth at left back, which I think is fine. Wakely, Holgate, Williams and Sonar in the centre, which I think is fine. We've also got Holgate who can cover at right back, but probably won't. So we've got Far and Asare over on the right hand side. So I definitely think so far we need a goalkeeper. And we need a right back, ideally a left back as well, but definitely a right back. In defensive midfield, we've got Luigi Gaspar who can play there, and we've got Ethan Robb who doesn't really like playing there. So a better defensive midfielder would be great. In the centre of midfield, it keeps adding these back in. We don't want either of those. They're not here. Josh Taylor's on loan, so we'll get rid of him. On trial, sorry. So we'll get rid of him. I don't think he's going to join the club. So we've kind of got Turner, Whiting and Rob there at the moment. We definitely need some more depth in midfield. And then in the central attacking areas, we've got Kevin Gonzalez, we've got Lawson Daff, and we've got Josh Taylor, who's on trial. He might join just because of that. And up front, we've got Charlie Brown and Martel Taylor-Crosdale. So at the moment, we need a goalkeeper, a right back. We need to strengthen the whole of midfield, and we need a striker. It's pretty lucky then that it's the 1st of July. And then some of players will have started being released from their contracts, because we're really going to need that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a nice cup of tea. And let's review all the transfers we've done before the new season. But before we do that, let's have a quick look at the squad depth. We can see here we're looking a little bit better. We haven't got brilliant quality in any position, but we have got depth at the moment, and that was probably the main thing for this transfer window. We can also see we're still bringing people in on trial, and coming into the first game of the season, we have still got £820 a week left in our wage budget, so still plenty of opportunity to bring people in before this, well, maybe not before the start of the season, but during the season. Transfer window doesn't close, obviously, for a long time in the National League, all the way until March, in fact. And as we can see, lots and lots of players in. I'm trying to think, full disclosure, I am actually recording this the day after the other bit, so I'm trying to think exactly who it is you guys would have seen, who you wouldn't. Obviously, we saw Enoch Asante leave the club. Declan Firth also left the club. We got £16,000 for him, which is obviously the biggest fee this club has ever received. So a player that we got on a free last season, played 37 games for us, and has then gone to League 2 for Cheltenham. I think that's pretty good. We couldn't really refuse that money. It's also why we've got so much wage budget heading into the new season. We've brought in Kevin Gonzalez. You saw him as well. Harrison Holgate, we obviously saw come in. Jaden Bevan, I don't think we did see. He's going to be, I believe, our new goalkeeper for the season. He is better than Jameson Horlock, who we had last season. He's come over from Shrewsbury, where he's played most of his career, gone out on a couple of loans. He was on loan at Dover and then back at Shrewsbury last season, I believe. but he didn't play any games. We didn't go out on loan last season, and now he's been released, come over to Taunton to be our number one, I believe, unless we find someone better, because again, we have still got lots of transfer budget, or wage budget at least, to play with. We've also brought in Leon Chiwomi. I assume you say that, Chiwomi. That's how we're saying it. He's going to be, I believe, our advanced forward for this season, playing alongside Charlie Brown. His technical abilities, his dribbling, finishing and first touch, all pretty decent, but he has got really, really good acceleration and pace on him, which I think in this league is going to be all important for him to go and grab himself some goals. He is only here on a non-contract. So far, he's played one game in pre-season and scored 3 goals. So hopefully he can carry that form into the actual league. We've also brought in Alex Ewumi. Again, all of these names, I'm probably saying them very, very wrong. We can see, though, Alex Ewumi, a Polish central midfielder who can also play as a defensive midfielder and as an attacking midfielder, which is going to be important for us this season. Previously of Southampton, has been released. Again, come over on a free. We haven't spent any money again because, as you probably saw, we don't have any transfer budget, so very difficult to spend any money. Alfie Prescott is another new signing, English 18-year-old, going to be our first choice, I believe, right back this season. He can play as a non-nonsense, a fullback or a wing-back in that position. For us, he'll probably be playing as a wing-back on attack. Some of those stats aren't great. The crossing especially isn't very good. But again, look at that. Great acceleration, agility and pace. And that's going to be very important for a player we want bombing up that right-hand side. So very happy with that signing. We've also brought in Tommy Fogarty, a 20-year-old Irish centre-back. Again, he's on a non-contract. So if we find someone better, then we can just get rid of him. He previously played at Birmingham, spent a season on loan at Maidstone in the National League and did reasonably well. So hopefully, again, another one, some good potential. Hopefully he comes good on that this season. We then brought in another striker in the form of Youssef Akahamrich. I can't say names, just don't worry about it. He's Moroccan, technically either a left or right attacking midfielder, but we're going to be playing him as a striker for this season. His finishing isn't fantastic, but great first touch and dribbling. He's good at crossing as well. He's got semi-reasonable pace. He's going to kind of come in, I think, and be our rotation option, probably behind all 3 of our other strikers. And then we've brought in Harrison Dudziak, who is an English 18-year-old central midfielder or centre attacking midfielder. Brought him in on loan. He's gone over, I believe he's at Hearts. He is at Hearts, formerly of Arsenal. We actually had him on trial for most of the season, and then he decided to bugger off to Hearts, so we've brought him on in loan instead. If we do have a look at this squad planner then, in fact, we'll have a look not like this. Let's have a look like this. We've only got the 2 goalkeepers. We could probably do with another one there. At left back, we desperately need someone. We've got Jaden Sweeney there. Let's get rid of both these guys. I mean, both of these guys. That is basically what we've got at left back. We've got Jaden Sweeney. We really need a left back to come in. In centre back positions, we are, I believe, fully covered there. Josh Thomas, I don't know why you're in there. Go away. But we've got lots and lots of depth there. Over at right back, we've then got Prescott. Holgate can play there. We were having a look at this guy as well. He might come in. Charlie Farr can play there. Zico Asare can play there. So we're very, very well covered there. In defensive midfield, we've got Gaspar who can play there. Alex Iwumi who can play there. Holgate can cover there. Ethan Robb and Zico Asare, they can all cover in that position. In midfield, we've got Jack Turner. Gaspar can play there. Dudziak can play there. Iwumi can play there. Ethan Robb and James Whiting. So lots of depth there. And then got Kevin Gonzalez, who will be, I believe, our main centre attacking midfielder. And then a couple of backups as well. And then up front, Charlie Brown, Leon Chiwomi, Akahamrich, and then Taylor Cross still up front. So I think we're pretty set there. We basically need a left back and maybe a defensive midfielder. I think would be a good idea. We have got Alex Denny on loan. I think he could do a job, but really we're looking for a more deep lying playmaker sort of role. He can kind of do that. That's probably going to fit in with this tactic here. We used it for a little bit of last season. I do need to make some tweaks to it because we're not going to play balance. We're going to play positive. We don't want to be playing balance. That's probably as well, if we pick this without restriction, our best 11. This is what our assistant manager is saying is our best 11 currently, and probably a lot of what we will play with for this season. If we then change that to a 4-4-2, did pick without restriction as well. I mean, we've got some players there. We haven't really got a left midfielder anymore, so that kind of probably kills off this formation. So maybe we just, I don't want to load in, I want to go to presets. Maybe we have a look at like a 4-3-3, maybe a 4-3-3 gegenpress, something like that. Pick that without restriction, because we have got the players now that can play out on those wings. Far can do a decent job there. Akahammerich can play there or over on the other side as well. And then we'd have a pressing mid forward, probably Charlie Brown up front. So we can do that formation as well. I think I'll probably leave that one in, just make sure this one's my primary trained tactic. But that is going to be our team for the start of this season. Tomorrow's episode, we will have matches against Flyde and Dagenham and Redbridge in our first 2 matches of the season in the National League as we head into season 3 with Taunton Town. Hopefully that goes well. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please do drop a like down below. And until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching.